Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorials, I'm going to be teaching you how to draft out a basic trouser. So if you want to know how I did it, ensure to keep watching. So I have my pattern paper with me, I have my marker, and I have my straight ruler. So I'm going to be marking the margin line. So for the margin line, I'm taking 1 inch downwards from the edge of the paper. So I'm taking 1 inch. I'm going to go ahead after that to use my ruler to connect the dots like this. So I've connected the dots to draw out my margin line. So I'm just going to label it as my waistline. So the next thing I will do is to actually take out 1.5 inches for my band measurement. So from there, I'm going to come down by 8 inches for my hip line and 11 inches for my crotch line. So if you want to know how crotch measurement is taken, ensure that your model, your client, is sitting down. So from the crotch line, I'm going to measure 4 inches downwards to get my thigh measurement. So I'm just going to go ahead to draw a straight line across the paper from the point that I marked out like this. Ensure that you are doing the same on your pattern paper. I'll repeat it again. If you want to get your crotch line, ensure your model is sitting down. Then measure from the person's waistline down to the top of the seat. All right, that's to get your crotch measurement. So the next thing I went ahead to do here is to just label the lines that I'm having. So I labeled my hip line, my crotch line, and my thigh line. So the next thing I'm going to be doing after marking out all the lines is to go ahead to divide my hip measurement by 4. So having done that, I'm going to just mark it on my hip line. And then I'm going to be adding 1 inch for suppression, that is for allowance, for ease. So you see that is what I have there. Then I'll measure that and repeat the same on my crotch line and also on my waistline. So my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for suppression is what I marked on my waistline, my crotch line, and on my hip line. Ensure that you are following so that you don't miss it. So the next thing I'll go ahead to do is to remember to remove your 1.5 inches for your band. Then from there, I took my knee measurement. I measured the person actually. So it's not a standard measurement. There's no standard measurement for that. All right. So I went ahead to mark that line. So that is going to be my knee line. All right, you see that is going to be my knee line. So what I have here is my waistline, my hip line, crotch line, thigh line, and my knee line. So from that place, removing your 1.5 inch from that margin line, I'm just going to take the length of my trousers. Do you see that? So I just wanted you to see where I'm marking. So I'm going to go ahead to use my straight ruler and just mark out that line to indicate the hem line of my trouser. That is the length of my trouser. All right. So having done that, I'm now going to take my waist measurement. So I'm so sorry that you maybe are not seeing the edge of my paper very well. So I went ahead to divide my waist measurement by 4. So thereafter, I went to place the measurements on my paper. I added 1 inch for that allowance and another 1 inch for suppression. So that is 2 inches. So you see what we have there. So I'm just going to mark it and then go ahead to use my curve ruler to give it a little bit of curve. It's not going to be straight, it's not going to just be slant, it's just going to be a bit curvy down to my hip line. So you see that. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take this measurement on my crotch line. So from this end to the other end, I'm going to divide it by 4 so that I'll be able to get my crotch line correctly. So the place where I'm going to get my curve. So again, I divided that point by 4. So I marked out what it gave me there, and I went to the center to mark out 1 inch, just so that I'll be able to get a proper curve for the crotch. Alright, so I went ahead to just draw a curve line. You see the way I placed my curve ruler, so I went ahead to draw a curve line. Alright, so that is it. The trouser is gradually coming alive. Alright, so you see what I did there. So this measurement that I actually took here, I'm going to be dividing it by 2 to get the midpoint. You see that? So I'm just going to replicate the same thing for my waistline and also on my hip line. You saw where I took the measurement from. I also replicated it on my thigh line, my knee line, and down to my hem line. This is to actually get the center of my trouser. So you see, I had to measure my crotch, take measurements on my crotch line, divided it by 2, and then I just had to measure it down on all lines to get the midpoint of my trousers. Then I'm using my straight ruler to just connect all the points like this. So ensure that you are replicating this on your paper using the body measurements that you took. Alright, so far this is what we have gotten. This is the measurement we have gotten. The next thing I will do is to take my dart measurement. So you see, I took out the 1.5 and then just marked 4 inches downwards, and then I marked that 0.5 inch on both sides. It is actually the midline that I drew out my dart from, so that you will not make any mistake. So it is 4 inches for my dart. So I came down by 4 inches, removing my 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to indicate that I'm removing this as my dart intake by using these lines across the dart. Alright, so you see that this is actually our thigh line. So my thigh measurement, I'm going to be dividing it by 4. So for this person, our thigh measurement is 21. I went ahead to divide it by 4, and I had 5.25. So I went ahead to mark 5.25 on one side and went to the other side and do the same. So you know that this trouser now has 2 sides after we've divided the trousers into 2 equal halves. So I went to the knee line and did the same, divided my knee measurement by 4, went to one side of the paper to mark out what I got, and I went to the other side and mark out the same thing. So I'm going to be doing that for my hem line. Some persons call it bottom, some call it ankle. So I'm going to be dividing it by 4, and I'm just going to place the measurement on both sides of the trouser, the same measurement. So the next thing I will do is to connect the dots using my long ruler. So this is what I did. So carefully just connect the dots like this. So I hope you understand so far what we have done. We've applied our measurements on the front side. So I went ahead to use my curve ruler to blend it because I don't want my trousers to have that pointed or sharp edge. Alright, so I'm very sorry that you're not seeing the side of this front piece, but you're going to see it later. But what I want to do on the other side is to just connect my dots. You know, we remember that we already have a line from the waistline to the hip line. So from my hip line, I'm just going to be connecting the dots down to my hem line like I did for the other side of this pattern piece. So here we have it. It's coming out really nicely. I hope yours is also coming out nicely. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to drop at the comment section. It will be attended to. Pattern is simple. You just need to follow the instructions carefully. If you don't understand it, you can go back and watch this video over and over again until you get it. Keep practicing. Don't give up. So this is actually the front piece sitting beautifully. So I'm just going to cut this front piece out. So it's from the front piece I'm going to get my back piece. So before then, let me label this. I like to label my pattern so that anybody that sees the pattern can actually cut with it. So I labeled as front, my waistline, my hip line, my crotch line, my knee line, my center front, my side seam. All right, so this is actually what I have labeled. So ensure you do the same thing for your pattern piece. So I'm just cutting out the front piece because I'm going to be needing this to cut out my back pattern. So I've gone ahead to cut out my front piece. So I just placed it on a fresh paper. I laid it on top like this. So I'm just going to be coming out on my crotch line by 2 inches. And draw a straight line to just connect that point from the front piece. Then I'm just going to draw out a straight line on my hip line. I'm going to do the same. Take out 2 inches on my hip line. And then I went ahead to my waistline, connected from the edge of that paper down to the midpoint of my dart. I divided it by 2 and just marked it like this. So I'm going to be repeating it again. I divided from the edge of my front down to the midpoint of the dart and divided it by 2. So this is what I have here. I'm just going to create a straight line to indicate the waistline for the dart. So on that point that I marked out, I'm going up by 2 inches. So from that 2 inches that I marked out upwards, I'm just going to be drawing a curve line from my crotch line to meet that 2 inches upwards. All right, so I'm just going to be connecting it like this. So you see, ensure that you are using your curve ruler because this is not a straight line. So I went ahead to just place back my front piece on the line. So ensure that they are aligning. So I had to use my phone to just hold this down. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to get my back waistline. So I'll do that by measuring my front waistline. So I went ahead from that 2 inches I came up by. I went ahead to mark what I got from my front waistline on my back, but it is going to be slanted this time around. It's not going to be straight. So I'm just going to draw a line from that 2 inches I went up by and connect it to where the waist measurement that I took stopped. Ensure that it is on the front waistline. You get? So I connected the dot like that and it gave me a slanted line down to the side seam of the front. So I will just go ahead to draw that line again So ensure that it's touching the side seam of the front pattern. So on my side seam, I'm just going to be measuring 1 inch for suppression. I'm going to be measuring on my side seam. I know that by now, because of that SS that you can see, you know that this is my side seam. So I'm taking 1 inch from the waistline down to the hem line. So that is what I am doing here. So I went ahead on the other side, which is the center front, to take out 1 inch as well for the back allowance. You know that the back and the front of your trouser, it's not the same. So I'm just going to be marking 1 inch like that. So this is what I have done on the center front and also on the side seam. But for the back, it is called the center back. So but I have not labeled it. That's why I'm still using center front, so that you'll not be wondering where is the center back, where is the center back. So this is what I have actually gone ahead to do to connect the lines. So I went ahead on the knee line to just mark out a line on my back piece. You see what I'm doing? So on both sides of my back piece, that's what I'm doing. I'm actually drawing out the line that I'm going to be labeling later. Okay. So what I'm actually doing is to mark out my pocket side. So I came in by 2 inches on the waistline, and then I came down just before the hip line by 6 inches and mark out a slanted line. So you can decide to make your own curve or slanted, but me, I want a slant pocket. That is the reason why I drew this out. So this is it for the back. So I'm going ahead to just label my lines, because there are too many lines here. So this is my hip line, my crotch line, my thigh line, my knee line, and my waistline. So I'm going to label this as my back piece. This is my center back, and this is my side seam. And then I'm just going to indicate cut 2. Then what I'm doing here is to indicate that this is a cross grain line. So cut 2, so that you know that it's 2 pieces that you are cutting out. Then I'll go ahead to also mark that this is a cross grain. That's your fabric is going to be cut on a cross grain. So this is my back piece sitting beautifully. So to get my back dart, I'm just going to divide my waistline by 2, and I'm just going to be coming down by 4.5. So remember to remove your 1.5 inches for your band. So I took my dart intake, which is 0.5 on both sides, like I did for the front. So I went ahead to create a stroke to indicate that I'm going to be taking this as my dart intake. So this is your back piece. I hope you got value from this class. Ensure to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you. I'll see you in my next video.